Hello, everyone, and welcome to the TFE, the Total Franchise Experience, where fantasy is at its finest. I've got with me Indians Tony, and we thought we would, while the auction is going on, and afterwards, because there's 30 teams to do, that we would take some quick hit preseason looks at hopefully everybody. Hopefully, we'll do all 30 of these, and give everybody something to look at and maybe be entertained by leading up to the season. We figured we could start while the auction is going on because we do have a small handful of teams that are pretty much done or very, very close to being done, or not able to. They have no money or they're already full. So we're going to tackle those first. And first things first, what were we doing, Tony? The Baltimore Orioles, right? That's what we're going to look at first. So the O's were in a tough spot coming into the auction. I mean, a spot that he put himself into. So maybe he, doesn't think it's a tough spot. But with $1 in the auction and needing several players, if I'm not mistaken, right? What was he at? He's at 18 total players, so needs 8 to fill out a roster, and only has the $1 to do that with. So Adrian not going to be a big player in the auction. I think we all knew that coming in. Tony, what if anything sticks out to you about the Orioles of 2025 right now? Now, keeping in mind everybody's going to have time to make some changes. The cap's going to expand. We're still going to have quite a bit of time before the season starts, but obviously this is just a snapshot of right now. Today is January 19th. The auction's still going on, but what do you think about the O's?
Well, first things first. I always usually have some.
What are you drinking? Yeah, what are you drinking?
We have Rolling Rock, which I don't know if you've ever noticed, has a horse head on it.
Yes, it does.
The Baltimore is home to the Pimlico racetrack, which is home to the Preakness Stakes. So in honor of Pimlico and the
appropriate drink, yeah. All right, I like that.
Drinking some Rolling Rock.
I have water, but I am smoking a strain called Meat Breath. That's MEAT. Wheat strains are so stupid anymore, man. All the names are so stupid. I really hate it, but that's what I got.
Rolling Rock's practically water anyway. So
I like I like Rolling Rock because I used to, many years ago on YouTube, I used to watch a lot of Angry Video Game Nerd, and he was always drinking Rolling Rock. He's in Pennsylvania, so East Coast guy. I don't know where Rolling Rock's out of, but he was always drinking Rolling Rock. So that's why I kind of like Rolling Rock.
So do we want to cover?
Aside, what do you think of the Baltimore O's? No Pimlico.
Do we want to do what? I guess they didn't really win anything in the auction.
So no, he can't. He pretty much can't until the very end. He's got $1, so he's not going to be winning anybody probably for another few days. So his team is what it is right now.
I mean, I'm trying to look. He didn't offer anybody more than 2027. That's the longest contract he offered. He offered quite a few of those. But
he's got a lot of money tied up for the next couple of years.
For someone who's pretty up against the cap, it's going to be interesting how he's going to finagle some of these things.
No outfield to speak of. I mean, Mitch Haniger and Mikey Yastrzemski are warm bodies. I kind of like Mikey Yaz, but he's a strong side platoon guy.
Yeah, I was going to say, playing with the Giants, it's going to be like, what's he going to play from day to day?
And Cruz does have that center field eligibility,
but then he has no shortstop.
Yeah, then he would.
So either has no center fielder, or
he has hole. Yeah, he's got a hole no matter what. Like when you look at what would be considered the top half of the lineup, with Devers and Cruz and Freeman and Arias and Will Smith, it looks really good. But there's literally zero depth and really zero outfield. Even both of the actual outfielders he has, other than Angel Martinez, are both right field only eligible guys. So, yeah, there's a considerable lack of depth on the offensive side.
I think this was the same build, pretty close to the same build he had last year. Because I mean, he kept a lot of these high-priced guys. And
yeah, he didn't make a whole lot of in-season moves.
I think we said, the biggest concern for him was if he has to get into that depth. I believe last year he did not have any major injuries to any of his stars. He was able to coast along, and I got a lot of flack back. So it's like, oh look, you made fun of the O's. Look at all the star players. Yeah, he does have star players, but he has to run on the right side of luck and variance with no injuries, with the zero depth he has. And this year he's going to really test that, especially in his hitters, because we all remember it's impossible to find major league hitting at bats on the waiver wire.
It's going to be tough. Yeah, it's going to be tough.
Impossible.
He's going to have to make some kind of deal. He shopped Freddie Freeman a little bit, and he'll probably get some bites on Freddie when the cap goes up. So
he could get a decent return for Tyon, who's nothing great, but $12 starting pitcher. I mean, that's going to play.
He really kind of needs to trade. So Freddie's his rental. Freddie's a 25 contract, so he's 39 and then back in the pool. He really needs to, my opinion, he really needs to get a couple, maybe three major leaguers, and you're not talking superstars, but maybe three big leaguers or two big leaguers and some kind of mid-level prospect for Freddie to like really make it worth dealing for him, because anybody that gets him knows he's going to be a rental, but he's going to be a very valuable rental, probably regardless of when any team deals for him. It's Freddie Freeman. He's not Julio Rodriguez, where he only turns it on in the last month of the season. Like Freddie's about as consistent as it gets. Yeah. So I think he will have some buyers, but at the same time, I think almost everybody's, even if they did, before they watch this pod, is going to know that the O's are kind of up against it and maybe not going to be willing to offer the kind of package that he might want for Freddie. So it's a kind of a rock and a hard place spot to be in. I don't know how much trade value these other contracts have. Will Smith is a very good catcher, but that's a very expensive catcher.
And you're locking him in for 2 years,
Yeah, and Devers, same thing. He's going to be $39, through next year, which maybe he's worth it. But man, that's, as we're seeing in the auction, prices are a bit subdued. I think for the bats, we're not seeing those. Bobby Witt went for 43 or whatever, but we're not really seeing the 40 plus, $50+ players, kind of like we saw in ABL.
Well, I think one of the big differences though there is that there's a lot more, I think, bargain contracts in that league that you mentioned. I just think, there was one team who, was the commissioner, who had a whole bunch of $1 and $3 players, and going into that auction, I think, what was the player he was going after that was like $60-$70? Everyone knew he could go to $60-$70. Once we get roster builds where you've got teams that are 70% $10 and below, and they only need 1 or 2 holes to fill, that's where you're going to see that 50, 60, 70.
Yeah, that'll happen eventually, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But
it's just this year, I think a lot of people held on to more than I thought, I guess. Like, I thought Freddie Freeman would be back in the auction. I really did, but he wasn't.
I thought some of these guys would be. Yeah, I kind of thought Devers would be. I kind of thought Freddie would be. I kind of thought Will Smith would be. I kind of thought O'Neal Cruz would be, to be honest. And when you stack that up, that's a lot of money that the O's could be playing with in the auction. And when we look at the pitching, again, the thing that sticks out is the lack of depth. Mm-hmm. Maybe not as terrible. Waka and Merrill Kelly and Framber and Tyon are they're okay. They're fine. I mean, Framber can be really good, but even then, if you want to add in Bailey Falter, that's 5 starters. I don't know if you're counting on Bailey Falter, if you're counting on a Bailey Falter start every week, your pitching's probably not in a great place. I guess, like, if he's your kind of say it like that.
If he's your 7th, 8th guy, that's fine, because then you don't have to pay him every week.
Like, if he's a depth guy, if he's
your 5th,
if he's
guy,
one of those. But yeah, if you're relying on that Bailey Falter start and you need him to make that start, and you're probably still not getting to 7 or having difficulty getting to that 7, you probably don't have very good pitching. So, the O's. It remains to
I
be seen
think
what the
it's.
O's are a story of.
I hate to be. I hate to be lazy like last year, but it really boils down to, is the team going to stay healthy or not? He has the top end talent. If the team stays healthy, it'll just be like last year. He'll be in the playoffs. He could make some noise, but
boy, even if he stays healthy, even if all these guys stay healthy, you've got days off and stuff. He's going to
you
miss
do.
so many at bats in that lineup with not having any bench to speak of.
But
It's
we
going to
have
be
such
tough.
top end talent that in a points league, one of these guys can carry you from week to week.
Sure, it could happen, but that's best case scenario.
And we also don't know how many teams are not going to fill. I mean, we were talking before, we've got some teams
I could be one. I could be a team that leaves the auction with fewer than 26. I've got a lot of my remaining money out there right now, and I would not be leaving with 26 if I spent it all on the three guys I'm on. So I'm not dogging him for that, but he's leaving the auction with a lot fewer than 20, not just a couple.
I'm not going to spend all my money because I have 4 players left and $22. I'm not going to be spending all that money just because I know.
Why the hell not?
I know how my roster build's going to be. It's just I'm not going to disclose that. But it'll be.
We're not talking about the Indians now, anyway. Yeah. So.
But anyways, I think long story short with the O's, yes, high top end talent. Same story as last year. You stay healthy, you'll probably be in the playoffs, I think. But I don't know how the other teams are going to look. I think last year we saw there wasn't much depth. There was a lot of these teams who didn't fill out their roster. I want to see how many teams are not going to fill out their roster before I say 100%. Yeah, he stays healthy. He's in the playoffs. Because if we have a lot of these teams who have 26 guys, that are Joe Schmuck that gets 12 at-bats a week, well, you can grind together points out of those at-bats because you're not getting negatives for strikeouts, and the other guy has enough pitching to get him closer to 7. We'll see what happens.
Overall, I'm giving the Orioles 4.5 out of 10 crab cakes.
Okay.
Yeah, 4.5 out of 10 crab cakes for Baltimore. What are you going to go with?
I think I did the same type of low rating last year, so I'm going to say 3.7, just because
3.7.
I always think of when someone tries, whenever this reference, whenever someone tries to tell me a number between 1 and 100, I always choose 37 because of Clerks. And
37 dick.